everyone, my name's Emily and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the Booktube Newbie Tag. I should have made this the first video on my channel, but I decided to wait until I got my very first ideas out and established how I was recording and how I was editing, but now I'm ready to do the tag. So question number 1 is, why did you start this channel? So I started this channel as an outlet for my stress, so that I could just share my love of reading and also have kind of a structure in my life, and so I decided to start a channel. Question number 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I haven't really decided yet what I'm going to do uniquely. I wanted to kind of do the typical Booktube things, start with my TBR, my wrap-ups, that type of things, and then I feel like once I establish myself, then I'll, or at least get a couple of videos underneath my belt, I will find what makes me unique and what makes my channel unique and give my own spin on things. Question number 3. What are you most excited for about this new channel? I'm really excited of becoming a part of a community. I haven't really had a very strong friend group since I left high school. I still talk to friends, but it's been over 5 years since I've had like a tight-knit community, and I just wanted to join Booktube, and I want to just become part of this community. I've read so many things about this community. I've watched so many booktubers. I noticed how they interact with each other. Most of the time they're very friendly with each other and they bounce ideas off of each other, and they're just a close-knit community, and I want to be part of that. Number 4. Why do you love reading? So, I spoke about earlier in the very first question about how reading relaxes me. I love reading. It's just because it relaxes me, and I feel like the whole stress of my day can just like float away while I'm reading a book. It's like an escape for me. Number 5. What book series got you into reading? So I'm actually going to show you the book series because I still have it, and it's been about 10 years since I read this series and I still own it. So the book series that got me into reading is Night World by L.J. Smith. So I actually have the editions where there's 3 books in one. So this is the very first one, which has Secret Vampire, Daughters of Darkness, and Spellbinder in it. It's a paranormal series for those of you that don't know. L.J. Smith is the author of The Vampire Diaries, which of course now there's a TV show that became huge, but I love her writing, and this is my favorite series by her. I also love Vampire Diaries, and I read that soon after I picked up Night World, but this has stayed on my reading shelf for years, and I do frequently pick it up if I just want like a light story that I'm familiar with. I don't really have to pay attention to because I already know the story. I pick up one of these. They also have Volume 2, which has The Huntress, Black Dawn, and Witchlight in it. And then to wrap up the series is Volume 3, which has Dark Angel, The Chosen, and Soulmate. All of these stories are different stories, but they do come together in the same universe. Sometimes there's crossovers of characters, but not very often. They're pretty much their own stories set in the same world, follow different characters, but the same laws of magic and paranormal are in all of them. Number 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I have no idea. I've never been good at like coming up with questions to ask people. Like even when we had in high school when you have to come up with questions for your teacher or your classmates or a question about a book or something like that. I'm never any good at that. So I really don't know what I would ask my favorite booktubers. I feel like I have to watch every single one of their videos to be able to ask questions, only because I want to make sure that a booktuber didn't already answer the question in a previous video. So, number 7. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I think the hardest thing for me is going to be getting kind of over my camera shyness. Believe it or not, I actually am quite camera shy, but I wanted to come on and make videos. And then the other thing I think is going to maybe be challenging for me is sticking to an upload schedule or even a filming schedule. Obviously, I can only film when it's light outside because I don't have lights, and the light in my room is very harsh, so I'm trying to use natural lighting, which also limits it because if I'm working all day, I obviously can't film that day because there's no sun out by the time I come home. Number 8, when did you start reading? So I started reading in 8th grade, very frequently. Obviously, I've read before then. I read what I need to read for school. I always had a hard time reading. I still have a hard time reading. I can't read out loud. And I still have a very hard time understanding some words. I do frequently have to pull up the dictionary on my phone or on my computer while I'm reading. But anyway, as I mentioned earlier, Night World by L.J. Smith got me reading. The story behind that is the Twilight series. For those of you who don't know, Twilight is written by Stephanie Meyer, very popular. And I have no idea what happened to my dust jackets. It's been a while since I read this, and I've moved several times, so I don't know where they are. But this series was a huge series when I was in 8th grade. It was going around. No one could get their hands on it in the library. Kind of hoping maybe I could get on the hold list for Twilight. It was so long, though, that I was like, by the time I get on into this, am I still going to want to read it? Thinking for myself, I was like, no, I'm not going to read it by the time, like, 3 months goes by. So, I had a wonderful librarian that introduced me to the Night World series. She told me that it still had vampires in it, and werewolves and witches, and it was just very similar, but also very different, and she thought that writing style would be very easy for me to read, and that I'd love it. So I picked up Night World. I flew through the whole thing, read it very, very fast. Went back to the library. Twilight was still not available, so I suggested another series by L.J. Smith, which I also loved, The Vampire Diaries. So, after reading Night World and The Vampire Diaries, I eventually put myself on the waiting list for Twilight, and I read Twilight eventually. It was kind of after the hype was already done. But these 3 series really cemented my reading. I loved reading from then on out. It was hard to find the time when I was in high school, but I managed to do it, and I love reading, and these series have stayed on my shelf since 8th grade. I do not have the heart to give them away or donate them. They are something I reread over and over and over again. Number 9, where do you read? Most of the time, I read in my room. Sometimes, on days I work, I listen to an audiobook on my... When I get to work, I either stay in my car and read a physical book, or I go into work a little bit early and kind of sneak off to our employees' room and read in the back room. Also, if I have a break that day, I don't always get breaks at work. It depends on how many hours I work. But if I have a break, I get 30 minutes, and I will bring a book, and while I'm eating my lunch or dinner or whatever, depends on what time it is, I will read a book. I've tried to, instead of watching Netflix or YouTube, I try to read books. So, question number 10 is, what kind of books do you like to read? Obviously, I like paranormal. I've talked about how many vampire books in this video, but I also really love fantasy books. Can't pick one at the moment that's currently like on my red shelf that I haven't donated, or on my TBR shelf that I want to read anytime soon. But when I'm in the bookstore, it's what I gravitate towards. I gravitate towards when I see the big chunky books. But lately I've been trying to kind of branch out and get some mystery and some contemporary and some romance. I'm trying. So I'm hoping I'll find a new favorite all-time genre to read. So that's been my book tag. I think I forgot to mention in the beginning of this video that Brenda C. actually came up with this. I've never watched her Booktube channel. I just typed into the Google the Booktube Newbie Tag because I've seen so many people do it, and I just wanted to know who came up with it. And that's how I found out what questions were on it and who actually originated it. So thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you in my next one.